Oh, yeah, right. We had city elections back on, and so I had my all-in phone.
Nobody comes to meetings anymore. I need to make a motion. Mine's at home. You know, you had this little hat. Yeah, you have to mess with the hat.
Nelly, I think of you all the time. Whoa, Nelly. Whoa, Nelly.
Need that.
Way too early. I was going to play today, but the weather is too much. How about you? Play today? Oh, were you battle up at the penalty?
Oh, Bev. Bev.
Volleyball. So,
I don't know.
I play volleyball. Well, you ought to play volleyball because you don't have to move a lot. So pickleball, all you have to do is ball. You do. It's true. Yes, ma'am. How about you? Most of the people in the volleyball club?
Bart, thank you for leading the meeting the other day when I was dying. Oh, now come on. How many times have I told you to resign? I said, how many times have I told you to resign? You lost it. That's okay. I should resign, so. How about if I resign so you don't have to? Will that work? There, Elvis. Marge, how you doing? Oh, okay. Friendly as ever.
What about?
Just a hello.
Do not. All right.
Gee, let's do appointments there.
Do what?
You have a few things to do, it looks like.
Oh, yeah. All the time.
I don't know. Ask. Yes, I barely got you. I think you have to blame Nancy.
I think we should just switch name tags, actually. See if anybody notices. You know, we gotta have a little bit of fun. This is getting not fun. Not fun is not fun. Need some fun.
I couldn't go there.
Okay. Thank you. This is for enemies.
Gotta.
I guess I'm going
I've been on it for over a year.
nameless. I accuse Bart of
We were yelling at each other. You were.
Well, you know, I got drummed out of the Corps last year. Maybe I never got back. I don't remember.
What core?
This one.
Anyway. He lost a pom-pom. He lost a pom-pom. Team, 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 team.
Oh, the volleyball group definitely showed up.
Who did?
The water volleyball.
Oh,
Trying to be nice. Andy's dressed for Halloween. I didn't see that. You got your ears.
yes.
Happy Halloween.
I have many ears at home.
You have many ears.
Many ears, many hats, many wigs, many,
Okay.
many.
I guess you
Many
can share
ducks.
with all of us, huh?
I could.
got
You tell me
many.
what you want. I probably have it.
Oh, I know. I got mine. Yeah, my wife looks forward to these, by the way.
I got it lined up. I have mine lined up.
It's time, huh?
Boy, all of a sudden it got quiet in here. We're right at we're 1:59, so I think we're okay to go ahead and start. I think most everybody that wants to be here is here. So with that, Beth, if you could do the roll call, please.
Kathy Bachelor,
Here.
Candy England,
Here.
Jess Bingham, here. Nellie Johnson,
Here.
Mark Hilliard,
Here.
Steve Reynolds,
Here.
Dave Parker,
Here.
Mark Bernal,
Here.
Deb Wallace,
Here.
Randy Smith,
Here.
Jody Walker.
Here.
Thank you. No, everybody's here. We got 100% here today. That's great. Okay, so we have an established quorum with everybody here. The, the next item on the agenda is to amend or adopt the agenda. There are two items that we'd like to amend the agenda with. The first one would be to secure an architect for the Abrego South Pool, and that would come in, it would be item B on the agenda, and that would change B and C to C and D. And then the second item would be to the acceptance of the 2024-990 tax return. We kind of rushed to get this into this agenda because the next meeting we have is November 19th, and this return is due on November 15th. So it's a time constraint that we're attempting to beat. So I would move that we amend the agenda with those two items.
So that the item about the 990 would be item E, is that right?
That would be item E, correct? Is there a second to amend the agenda?
I'll second your motion.
Thank you, Marge. Marge Garneau seconded. All those in favor of amending the agenda, please raise your hand. And all those opposed? Steve, I didn't see your hand. Which,
You know, I was confused about the,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's too late to discuss the amendment on the pool.
we're going to discuss the amendment on the pool because the recommendation for the budget that is coming forward includes the pool funding in the budget, which we discussed at the last workshop. I asked Scott to provide this staff report so that we could at least get started on it. The next step would be to secure an architect for the Abrego South Pool. We don't approve everything until the contract comes through, but it is in the budget. It is recommended for the budget today to be approved with those funds in it.
Oh, I was thinking that during the work session, we were only including that as a placeholder and not, and that we were going to discuss it further. So I was really surprised when this came in yesterday as an amended item. And then when I read through the CPM, it says that these agenda items need to be submitted 6 days prior to the board meeting. and that if they are not submitted by that date, they should be moved to the next regular meeting.
Okay,
So
so
I-
we should just take amendment to agendas off the agenda from now on because we have used this quite often.
Well, I was expecting this to be in the meeting book on Friday, so that it would meet the 6-day limit. That's why I thought I was really surprised to see it.
Okay. It has always been allowed, I believe. I'm not sure about the CPM. I don't recall what it specifies for that. But we have always been able to amend an agenda at the board meeting. And that's what I'm suggesting that we do with these two items.
Okay, I'm going to vote against it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Nellie, you were opposed as well. Is there any other opposition to the amended agenda? Okay, thank you. Okay, now we will take a motion to adopt the amended agenda, and I will move to do that.
I move we adopt the agenda,
Okay, that's
the
fine.
amended agenda, whatever.
Okay, thank you, Jody. And a second.
Second.
Bev Lawless was a second. Thank you, Bev. And all those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, so, and all those opposed? Steve, I didn't see your hand go up to approve, so are you opposing?
I'm approving that. Thank you.
You are approving? Okay, so it's unanimous to approve the amended agenda. Thank you, everybody. Hang on just one second. Okay, presentation is next on the agenda. So the quarterly financial report is going to be presented to us by David Webster. David?
Yes, thank you.
We should have brought him up here.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to give a very brief, high-level overview. It's on page 1 of your packet, and it gives a quarterly update of our performance through the third quarter. This was shared with the FAC committee, and they have reviewed this as well. You'll notice, I know it's hard to see on the screen, but through September of 2025, our revenue has been 1.4% below budget. And that is primarily due to programs not producing the revenue that we originally budgeted. And simply put, it's mostly concerts and tours. The revenue is under budget slightly. And then if you look at on the expense side, you'll see that we're 2.1% under budget on our expenses. And those items are primarily wages that are under budget and expenses related to those programs that I just mentioned. So overall, we're slightly ahead of budget for the year. And what's unique that we do today is, if you see in the green section, is we project an estimate of how we're going to end up for the year. So you see this is total January through December 2025 projected. What we're showing is really a relatively flat fourth quarter. By that, I mean, I don't see any big changes from what we've seen year to date. And my rough estimate is that by the end of the year, according to the GVR surplus calculation, we should see a small surplus. On this report, I'm showing a surplus of $146,000. That's an estimate. But that's where we stand today is with regards to our statement of financial performance. Now, I've got another page that you don't have, and it is our statement of financial position. I think Nancy handed out copies, and you can add that to your book, but I'm sorry about that. I'll just overlook sending that out. Simply put, if it's a balance sheet, and it shows the change in our assets and liabilities over the past 12 months. So you can see that from September of 24 to September of 25, our total assets have grown $1,527,000. That's pretty significant. So we'll look at that a little bit. I'll back up and note that some of the larger items are designated investments. the pool fund, the MRRA fund, the emergency fund, and the initiatives funds, in total, as of September 30, equal 11,040,000. That's good to see, and a lot of what's driving that is a good return on our investments, which our investment committee just this week reviewed as well. So that's a good improvement. And you notice on the net fixed assets, you can see that it grew over 12 months, $895,000. Now, we have spent a lot of money on some capital assets, primarily through the MRRA fund. But what this statement tells me is that we're growing more in our assets than they are depreciating. So that's how we determine a $1,527,000 increase in our assets. Now, the liabilities haven't changed much. You can see it's $123,846. It's really not consequential. But the total net growth in our total net assets for the company is $1,403,252. I guess what I would say is we've had a good, strong statement of financial position for quite some time, and it continues to be a strong statement. And then finally, I'll show you, and this is in your packet, I think it's page 2. This is a high-level summary of what the investment committee reviewed this week. And I mentioned the $11 million that's in our total designated reserves is $11,040,653 as of September 30, 2025. But what I want to draw your attention to is we're enjoying some good returns on our investments. They range from 3.8% with our initiatives fund up to 11.6% with our emergency fund. That's good. However, it is somewhat below. Most of them are somewhat below our benchmarks. And the investment committee looked at that in some great detail. And in my simple mind, I think the reason why we're not quite meeting our benchmarks is we're well diversified in our investments, and the market is being driven by a few high-tech firms such as, I've forgotten the name of them. NVIDIA? That's one of them, the AI funds, one of them that's really driving the market up, and we don't have all of our money in NVIDIA, and I'm glad. Okay, we have a good diversified investment policy strategy. The bottom section highlights $2.2 million of operating funds. Those fluctuate greatly throughout the year as our cash cycle is dependent on dues, collections that come all within a month and a half, late December through January. But I'm glad to see that those funds are well invested and showing a nice return, which has helped our financial standing. If there are no questions, that's really all I have.
Excuse me, does the board have any questions? Okay, David, you're all free, easy today. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
But you don't get to go home, so
okay,
stick
that's
around. Okay, next item would be the president's report. I would like to thank everybody, to all these people whose HOAs surround Abrego, South Pool, and the Water Volleyball Club for attending the board work session that was on October 8th. Scott's chat with Scott at Las Campanas that was on October 13th, and for attending today's board meeting to voice your concerns, and we appreciate that. Also, thank you to all the members that took time to write letters to the board, and I was provided with a nice handful additionally today from Dennis, your president. It's very much appreciated that you all show up, that you want to tell us that you are concerned to have your pool replaced, and we appreciate your attendance. There are a few people in the audience also that are regular attendees that we would like to thank as well for attending as they normally do. To those who would like to speak to the action items today on the agenda, the procedure is that board members will discuss the item first. When they are done, we will call for members in the audience that may approach the microphone to speak to the item that we are currently speaking of, and only that item. We speak to items as they come up. Please give your name and GVR number before you speak, and only speak to that item that is under discussion at that point. In the interest of time, if you would be so kind, please line up behind the first person at the microphone. That would save us a great deal of time of people moving in between rows to try to get to the microphone. We want to be able to hear everybody that has something to say. So again, thank you all for attending today. And with that, I'm going to leave all the nitty gritty to Scott Summers, our CEO, for his report.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you. It's been a busy year so far. We've completed quite a few projects over the summer. Really where we're at now is wrapping up drawings for the West Center Lapidary Expansion Project. The West Center Metal Shop expansion is just about finished. We expect that we'll probably be finished in about 4 to 6 weeks there. The kiln room for the Ceramics Club at Desert Hills is being finalized and finished pretty soon. We had a huge event here last Saturday. It was a partnership between GVR and the Green Valley Rotary Club. We served about 325 hot meals, which was remarkable. It was a lot of food, and we had German beer, and it was a lot of fun. The place was packed, so it's a good time. I want to remind everyone that today is International Wombat Day, and with that, I will turn it back over to the president. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. It's always to know which day we're on. Next are the committee reports, and we'll start with Bev Lawless on the Audit Committee.
Hello, we did meet this week, and there were 2 very, very minor changes or corrections on the 990, and Kathy will address it more later, but we do recommend that the board accept the 990. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Board Affairs, Candy English.
Hi, thanks for everybody for coming. The Board Affairs Committee met last Tuesday, October 14th, to discuss some corporate policy manual language revisions and to further discuss the next steps to revise the guest pass policy. I would like to thank Bart, Kathy, and Scott for stepping up and leading the meeting as I was absent due to a migraine. The next back meeting will be on December 9th. We're not going to be meeting in November, but it will be December 9th in the West Center, room 2, which is right over there at 1:30. And as always, all GVR members are encouraged to attend in person. And if you cannot come in person, you are certainly allowed to listen to the meeting on Zoom.
Thank you very much, Candy. Fiscal Affairs, Nellie Johnson.
Thank you. We met yesterday at Fiscal Affairs. As David has pointed out, we reviewed the September financials year to date, as well as the quarterly forecast estimate through the end of the year. And it's always good to see a positive surplus, even if it's a small surplus. We have over a $12 million budget, so it can swing either way, 100,000 on this side or 100,000 on that side. But we're fortunate to see some stabilization in the home sales, and the staff has got good control of the expenses. We also spent time brainstorming the question about how do we recruit in the voluntary deeded properties that are not part of GVR, which are about 2,700. How do we encourage them to apply, and looking at various options on payment of their capital fee, which we'll be looking at talking about at a future board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Nellie. Investments, Lanny Smith.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, members, for attending today's session. David did a pretty good job of providing you with an overview of how our investments have been performing over the last 9 months. And yes, the market has been very strong, primarily driven by AI companies, and we are not overweight, and we have a small position in those companies, highlighting the GVR's commitment to capital preservation. We have done quite well. We did have a discussion regarding, or we did receive an opinion from our lawyer regarding our contract with Corient, who confirmed that our contract is valid and in force, and that we are not required to rewrite that contract. So we are pleased with that result, and we continue to be quite satisfied with Corient and JP Morgan's performance. Thank you.
Thank you, Lanny. Nominations and elections, Beth Dingman.
Thank you, and thanks for everyone who's here today. We had our last meeting on October 9th. We finalized the timeline for the 2026 election, which is going to be somewhat compressed. We're also sponsoring a candidate information center session on November 5th. I have these flyers, which I would love to pass out to some of you in the audience. If you have some interest in what it might be like to be on a committee or run for director, please come to our session on November 5th. There'll be food. And we'd love to talk to you if you had any interest at all of what's involved. We're certainly looking for interested and enthusiastic candidates. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. I don't know why you people are laughing. This is a great board to be a part of. You should all be filling out applications as we speak. The next one is planning and evaluation. Steve?
Kathy, there's nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Steve. The next item is the consent agenda, and it shows the minutes from the Board of Directors' regular meeting, September 24th, 2025, the Board of Directors' work session minutes, October 8th, 2025, and the financial statements of September. So if anybody has a motion to approve
Madam
the
Chair?
consent. Yes, Nellie?
I would like to move the work session minutes out of the consent agenda into an action item.
I'm sorry, which one?
The board work session minutes, October 8th.
Into an action item?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so we'll make that item F.
Is there a reason?
Yes, I don't believe the minutes reflected my chair comments that Scott had asked me to make with regard to the rationale or additional comments from the FAC. And also the discussion points, I did not feel there was a consensus on moving forward with the Brago versus looking at a placeholder and doing more due diligence into 3 to 6 months. So those would be the amendments I would suggest to make.
Okay. We'll do that this time, Nellie, but next time, please, when there's a change for the amendment to the agenda, if you would let us know at the time that we do the amendment to the agenda, it would be helpful. But I will put it on for item F.
Yeah, I apologize, Madam Chair. My understanding of Robert's rules is when you pull it off the consent agenda, it automatically goes on the action item. So that is why I handle it there.
Okay. For the remaining items on the consent agenda, if I could have a motion to accept those.
I motion we accept them.
Jody Walker made a motion and a second.
Second.
Beth Dingman had a second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And it looks unanimous. Thank you. Okay, so we'll step into action items number A, approval of the 26 budgets and fee schedule. And David Webster is going to give us Scott's going to give us, it has your name on here. That's why, David, I did that. So Scott's going to go through that with us.
Working on it. There we go. All right, well, thank you all for coming. This is the 2026 proposed/recommended budget for GVR. Includes the operational budget and the capital budgets. The goals of the 2026 budget. Proposed budget meets GVR's mission of providing excellent facilities and services, create the opportunities for recreation, social activities, and leisure education to enhance the quality of our members' lives. The budget meets goal 4 of the strategic plan, which is to cultivate and maintain a sound financial base that generates good value for our members. And the 26 recommended operational budget is based on the actual expenditures that GVR anticipates for 26 per bylaws Article 2, Section 3. The Corporate Policy Manual, the CPM, says that annually staff will prepare a tentative budget calendar based on a required budget approval of no later than November 15th. Further, it says GVR shall annually adopt a balanced budget where operating revenues are equal to or exceed operating expenditures. The budget development process, and this is again new for some and kind of a reminder to others, but the budget process began in August of this year when the CEO and the CFO met with each department head to review and discuss their budget needs. Staff presented the draft 5-year capital plan to the Planning and Evaluation Committee on August 14th. Staff developed a draft budget that the Fiscal Affairs Committee, the FAC, reviewed on September 16th and developed a recommended budget on September 23rd. Staff provided revisions to the FAC's recommended budget based on updated wage information. The revised P&E and FAC recommended budget and a Plan B alternative budget were presented to the board in work session on October 8th. So I'm going to break it down by the two budgets that are really being considered today. There's the Fiscal Affairs Committee revised and recommended budget. We're going to start with the operations budget. The membership dues rate increased from a current $530 to a $538 annual dues rate. That's a 1.5% increase. Membership change fee and the initial fee increased from $3,100 to $3,200. The recommendation is to eliminate member change fee refunds other than those required by law in order to generate additional revenue. This change is proposed to occur mid-year in 26 and would generate approximately $150,000 in 26 and new revenue and in subsequent years $300,000 in each year. Now this is the primary driver to why the dues for this budget increase $8 because we have an injection of revenue into this budget, so they would only have to increase $8. Aggregate wage increases $177 or $77,000, which is a 4% increase. Tenant pass would be modified to break out separate fees for tenants that stay longer than 4 months or more, and an increase to the additional cardholder pass fee, and increased professional fees by $10,000 to allow for improved digital marketing. Capital. These are the big projects. Infrastructure. The recommendation was no funds from the Initiatives Fund to replace the Abrego South locker room or shower room building. No funds in the MRRB Fund, which is the Pool and Spas Fund, to replace the Abrego South Pool and Spa. Rather, include $100,000 in the Initiatives Fund to demolish the ABS pool and the locker room facilities, which would allow the wood shop facility expansion project to begin earlier in 2026 rather than 27 as a result of eliminating that funding for rebuilding the Abrego South locker room facilities. Recommendation was to include an additional or a total of $20,000 in the non-reserve capital fund for ADA accessibility improvements throughout the campus, increase funding to the Initiatives Fund by approximately $30,000 in '26 due to the change in the member change fee refund policy elimination, increase funding of MRRB pools and spas by $7,761 for a total of $342,783 to meet the 7% escalation in annual funding goal. Transfer from the Operations Fund to the Maintenance, Repair, and Replacement Part A Fund, MRRA, is $1.4 million. The capital expenditures from the MRRA would be approximately $2.5 million. That's a lot of repair and replacement. Anticipating future years based on this budget, and again, the main driver to this recommended budget is the elimination of the member change fee refunds. This would be a significant injection of revenue into the operations budget of $300,000 a year. So you will see with this recommendation, the rates aren't projected to go up as much as they are without this injection of revenue. So in '27, we would anticipate those rates, our dues, increasing to $557, in '28 to $567, and 2029 to $581. Now, I'm sure you can all see this. This is the budget. This shows the anticipated revenue and the anticipated operational expenditures for the FAC revised and recommended budget. And it's very, very small. So you're going to have to take my word on that one. But we'll get to a highlight of this in a moment. All right, let's look at the Plan B alternative. This was rolled out and presented as Plan B during the work session to the board. In this case, membership dues rate would increase from the current $530 to $545 annually. The member change fee would be the same as the previous budget recommendation, which is increasing from $3,100 to $3,200. One of the big changes here is there would be no elimination of the member change fee refunds. Those refunds would continue, which means there isn't an injection of additional revenue, which is why you're seeing those member dues increase from $530 to $545, rather than the previous, which was to $538. Everything else is pretty much the same. The aggregate wage increase of $177,000 or 4%. Tenant pass would be modified and broken out for those that stay longer than 4 months. Increase of additional cardholder pass fee and increase in professional fees by $10,000 for digital marketing. Capital. Again, a primary difference here are the first few bullets, which is funds would be included in the Initiatives Fund to replace the Abrego South locker and shower building. Funds are included in the MRRB pools and spas to replace the Abrego South pool and spa. As a result, the wood shop facility expansion project would begin 1 year later in 2027 rather than '26. The others are pretty much the same, which would include $20,000 in non-reserve capital for ADA improvements, increasing funds for MRR pools and spas to the 7% that the board had directed previously. And again, same with transferring funds from operations to MRRA of $1.4 million and expending $2.5 out of that same fund for all of our maintenance, repair, and replacement in '26. So again, one of the drivers for this is there wouldn't be an injection of revenue from eliminating those refunds. So you will see in this plan, rates are anticipated to increase quicker and at a higher rate. So 2027, we would anticipate rates dues would be closer to $575 annually, in '28, $597, and in 2029, $618. Excuse me. And here's that budget in very small letters. So I want to talk a little bit again about the primary revenue sources. This is a graph of dues beginning back in 2003 up to 2026. Back in 2024, dues and the cost of living were pretty close to equal. I believe they were about $13 away at that time. The top line, the orange line, represents the CPI West Coast cost of living adjustment. And you can see how that has increased pretty significantly over the years, really exponentially, frankly, since COVID in 21 and 22, actually 20 and 21. The lower line, the blue line, is the actual member dues rate. And you can see how it's increased, but certainly not to the same degree as the cost of living for the CPI. We'll talk a little bit about why that is on the next slide. This is dues versus the member change fee revenue. And as homes are selling in GVR, GVR does quite well. Each home that sells right now in 25, GVR receives $3,100 every time title changes hands, with a few exceptions. 80% of those revenues fund the operations fund, which is pretty significant. You can see here on this chart in 2019, where the lower orange line changed and became increased exponentially, I should say, over the dues rate, which is the blue line, the higher line. But again, prior to 2019, dues rates and the member change fee rate were essentially increasing at the same rate. Since then, and really since about 2020, there's been a greater reliance, a greater increase percentage-wise on the increase to the member change fee as opposed to the dues. So essentially, GVR has become more and more reliant on the member change fee revenue to fund its operations. And that's great when we're selling homes. And when we were selling homes, we were seeing approximately $500,000 a year in surpluses. Now that we're seeing about 400 homes less being sold every year, we're seeing the opposite effect, which is significant deficits. Not significant, but enough. This year we're doing better. David just said we're actually anticipating $146,000 surplus this year. Last year we had a deficit, and the previous year before that, I think we were about 12,000 surplus. So the good news is we've really only had 1 year, but we haven't seen those significant surpluses. So this is a good graph, I think, that depicts and shows how, as an organization, we've become more and more reliant on member change fee revenue to fund our operations. This is the recommended dues and fees schedule for 2026. The column on the far left shows our actual rates for 2025. And then the two to the right show the first recommended, which is the FAC, Fiscal Affairs Committee, and the staff adjusted rates for 26, and then you see the rates for 2026 under Plan B. We've already talked about what those dues rates would be for the first committee, or the first recommendation, which is 538 versus Plan B, which is 545. All these other dues are the same for each of these plans throughout, throughout this fee schedule. Again, there are some changes. Each one of these tenant fees, guest card fees, basically goes up $5 over last year. This year, we're proposing to add a weekly pass that would be a weekly guest pass that would be $30. And you can see here, we talked previously about breaking out the tenant fees for the 4 to 12 months. Currently, it's $170. There's a recommendation to break that out to 4 months to $180, 5 months to $215, and 6 to 12 months, $250. Additional cardholder fee. Right now, it's pretty low, considering this is really an additional membership in households. And it's not an exact science, but if each dues homeowner is now paying $535 a year, $530 a year, they're essentially paying $265 per member in a two-person household. So an additional card holder is someone else living in your home. Could be a relative, it could be a friend, we don't know. We just know there's somebody else that's living in there and they want a card and they want to be able to participate as well. So our committees thought, and staff did agree, that 105 was pretty low, considering most households pay roughly $265 per member that's living in that household. So the recommendation was to increase this fee by $35 a year for the next 5 years so that it was much more equivalent to what the rest of our members are paying. Membership change fee, we've talked about that. The initial fee, late fee would be the same. GVR is proposing to do a card issuance fee of $5. This is the same card that we all have. If you're a new member, you would just get this as part of your new membership. If you wanted a guest card or there was a tenant card, we would charge you $5 for that card, which would encourage you to reuse it instead of just throwing it away or losing it or giving it to somebody else. This is a way for people to encourage to use that card again. And we can reload those cards, whether they're guest fees or guest cards or tenant cards. So that's one of the recommendations that we had there, to be just a bit more efficient with our card use. Okay, let's see. This is the 5-year capital plan. Again, you're not all going to be able to see this, but the highlighted items are the main differences between the two recommended budgets. And I just want to go through the projects very briefly. But there is a note that GVR has with the GVR Foundation for $11,000 annually, which purchased the parking lot at the Del Sol Clubhouse. That's $11,000. You'll see that every year here until that note is paid off. West Center lobby improvements. Last year in 25, this year earlier, we anticipated having some improvements done to the lobby here, which would combine our membership services and our guest services as a one-stop shopping place. And the bid came in a bit higher. We had only budgeted $150, and the bid came in at about $162, while at the same time, the bid for the Metal Arts project came in significantly higher. And we discussed it, and our recommendation to the board was to delay the West Center improvements in order to move those funds over to the Metal Arts project so that project could move over in 25. And the board agreed. So we are bringing this back to the board for consideration. We've increased the funding, or I'm sorry, the earmarked dollars for this to include a contingency as well as some additional millwork costs for some storage. The other project would be the expansion of the Las Campanas fitness room into the Cypress room at about $100,000. The next would be continuing the lapidary expansion project here at West Center. This budget is just over $1 million. We've spent just over $100,000 in 2025. As I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, we're anticipating finishing those documents, those architectural drawings, sometime around December, hopefully. We'll be able to start that project, hopefully, in January. So this money right here, $922,000, completes that project, and it should be completed in 26. You can see the next line item was the West Center expansion for the wood shop. What you have before you is the Plan B recommendation, which is to start that project in 27. Those would be architectural drawings, and then construction would begin in 28 and wrap up in 29. The South Abrego locker room building is on this, with construction starting in 26. We really don't know what that's going to cost, so we've been a bit generous with our earmarked dollars of $250 in 26 and $500 in 27. The next for 26 would be fencing for the pickleball center. We've talked about this a bit before, but back when the pickleball center was built, there wasn't fencing surrounding that center, and we've had a really hard time making sure that it is a member-used facility, because it is out there, it is difficult to regulate those that come and go. So this fencing would funnel all of the users into a front entrance where there would be a DSX reader, one of these things. in order to get into the center. And then finally, 40,000 earmarked to expand the Santa Rita Springs Fitness Center by taking out the corner office that is there. It won't create a lot more space in that fitness room, but it will help a little bit. So this initiatives fund for 26 is estimated at about $1.5 million. The MRR fund, which is MRRA, this is maintenance, repair, and replacement. We're anticipating funding, and this is per the reserve study, from operations of $1.4 million this year, and each year it goes up another 100,000. Why is this? Well, we've brought a few other things online. We're doing a better job at maintaining our facilities, and things are getting more expensive. So we are having to spend more money, which means we're having to transfer in more money. So this is a driver, a really significant driver to dues increases right here. And you can see here, this is the estimated expenditures for MRRA, 2.5 million in 26, 2.7 in 27, and then it starts to come down a little bit, 2.1 in 28, 2.3 in 29, et cetera. MRRB, pools and spas. Here is the funding from operations. This is the 342,000 that I've already talked about. This is a transfer from operations into the pools and spas fund. Here's the 1.6 million that we're recommending in Plan B to keep money in to rebuild the pool and spa. We don't know if it's going to be 1.6. We sure hope it's not, but we want to make sure that we have enough in there for contingency. If in fact this does move forward, we do know that we need to take out about 7.5 feet of that soil and replace it with engineered soil to make sure that we get proper compaction. And then we don't anticipate doing anything with the emergency reserve fund at this time. There's currently a balance of 553, actually beginning January 1, and by the end of the year, there would be 597. We really view this as our contingency fund. And here it is all put together. We've got in this column, the first one is the original staff presented budget, which isn't being discussed or considered today. I want to move you to the middle one. This is the revised budget, which was updated and recommended by the Fiscal Affairs Committee. And then on the far right, we have the Plan B. We've talked about the changes and the nuances for each of these. Total initiatives, again, somewhere around 1.5. We've talked about the MRRA at 2.5. So total capital budgets, depending on whether or not the pool is included, is somewhere between 4 million and 5.7. 4 million is the FAC recommendation. Plan B is 5.7 million. The operating budget is right around 11.8 million for each of those recommended budgets. So grand total budgets for 26, the FAC recommended budget is just under 16 million, and the Plan B is 17.6. Okay, so the options before the board. Number one, adopt the Fiscal Affairs Committee and the staff revised recommended 2026 operating and capital budgets, the 5-year capital improvement plan, and the 26 fee schedule as presented or with amendments. Number two is adopt the Plan B 2026 operating and capital budgets, 5-year capital improvement plan, the 26 fee schedule as presented or with amendments. Or number three is direct staff to do additional research and make sure that you bring back a budget that's approved by the board no later than November 15th, which is required by the corporate policy manual. The staff recommendation is to adopt number two, which is adopt Plan B, the 2026 operating capital budgets, 5-year capital improvement plan, and the 2026 fee schedule as presented or with amendments, and I'm putting up a recommended motion based on adopting Plan B that you're free to use or free to amend. And with that, I will ask the board if you have any questions.
Madam Chair? I'd like to place a motion on the table so that we enter into dialogue on the budget. And I would like to move the adoption of Plan B for the 2026 operating and capital budgets and the 5-year capital improvement plan and the 2026 fee schedule with the Abrego Pool and the Abrego South locker room funds being in the budget as a placeholder pending further due diligence and review in the next 3 to 6 months.
Beth?
I just have a question about the demolition of Abrego South. How does that relate to the possible rebuilding? Is it needs to be done, or I don't understand its relationship?
Sure. In this case, the total cost is, or the demolition is wrapped up into the total cost. So the 1.6 million from the MRRB fund would be inclusive of demolition of the pool. And the 750,000 would encapsulate and include the demolition of the locker room and the spa. Yeah. When there was a question of whether or not the pool was going to move forward, we needed to have a separate line item that called out demolition specifically.
I believe there needs to be a second.
I'll second that.
Steve Reynolds is a second on that.
Madam Chair, I'd like to speak to my motion.
Sure.
Thank you. The Fiscal Affairs Committee has dealt with looking at the budget and working with staff over the summer. And basically, even further back than that, as far as looking at the reserve funds. And with the decline in home sales and the pressure on the inflationary increases in the reserve funds, we have a responsibility to look at not only this year, but also the impact going into 27 to 29. And we basically had a major deficit problem. And so with that, we looked at 18 different revenue enhancements, and one which was the membership capital fee. And that was a very close vote to approve the elimination to help balance out the budget so that our dues were manageable. In consideration on the operating budget, with not doing the capital elimination fee, the dues increase is manageable for this year. It's balanced, and the dues are within a 3 to 5% increase going into 25 to 27. So that is why I as an individual board member and treasurer would move out of the FAC recommendation and basically say I agree that the Plan B with the dues increase and no elimination of the capital fee is reasonable, and we can have a sound budget. On the capital fund, after listening to the dialogue, and also reading the letters, which we, as the president notes, are very important to receive. And we have received them both in the replacement of Abrego Pool, and also concerns about not replacing Abrego Pool. And there were also issues raised with the fact that there hasn't been, kind of a review of the reserve funds. So I want to talk just a couple of minutes about that, because we did, over the past year, look at the maintenance reserve fund for our facilities, which is over $7 million. And this was the big year that Browning Reserve Study came in and did an on-site review. And when we look at our expenditures projections, instead of coming in at a 4% expenditure need in order to maintain our budgets, they're coming in at a 7% increase over the next 4 to 5 years. So you can see that puts pressure on the expense budget. The same was true on looking at our pool fund. We did a special review beginning in October of last year. And in fact, we had, if you go on the website, there is a separate pool reserve study. And in that, it has the summary of the firm that did the review of the 13 pools. And we decided that after the analysis, the reserve for the pools are significantly underfunded for the 13 pools. And we looked at the age of the pools. Age of the pools are usually 35 years, and we're already pushing 50 on a number of the pools. So when we looked at the Abrego South situation, it really came into, it's not just a pool question. It's also the fact that the locker room went down. So it's 1.6 million out of the locker, or out of the pool fund, but an additional 750,000 out of the initiatives fund. So that became a very difficult decision, and the vote in the Fiscal Affairs Committee was 8-1 to basically say we need to look at a better use of the initiatives fund to say what would Abrego South want in replacement of the pool. As far as meeting additional needs in that community, because you would have something else to replace the locker room if you didn't have the pool. I'm also concerned that if the other pools go down because of the age, from a fiduciary standpoint, there just isn't sufficient dollars. And this was the least used pool of all the 13. And I appreciate the water volleyball people looking and using other alternatives. And from my perspective, I would hope that if the pool did not get reinstated, that those alternatives such as Abrego South or Casa Paloma could be used. So with that, and after listening to the dialogue at the work session, I understood that further review, further discussion with the HOA as far as needs, discussion with other individuals who are concerned about the 13 pools. So that is why I agree that the money can stay in the budget, but not be spent until we have further due diligence and review and input in the next 3 to 6 months. Thank you.
Can I make an amendment to the motion?
A friendly amendment? Do they call those a friendly amendment or not?
It's kind of friendly.
Kind of, okay.
I'd like to move that we adopt Plan B for the 2026 operating and capital budgets, the 5-year capital improvement plan, and the 2026 fee schedule as presented, period. I think, we all do our own diligence. We don't need to put it in motions, and I think it's wrong for this board to consider reducing anything, taking a pool out, taking a building out, so I'd like to make a motion that, thank you.
And I would second that, a friendly amendment that Marge just made.
Was that friendly?
I thought it was.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Kathy?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Beth, go ahead.
First of all, I do somewhat question the figures in terms of the usage of Abrego South. Just because we know we have like 40 people there, 4 times a week in the winter, or maybe more. And so I'm just wondering about the actual figures. And the other is, to me, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to say, well, we're not going to pay for this one because maybe the next one will go. And then we're going to have money for the next one. Well, I mean, it seems to me we should be taking care of the things that are happening right in front of us now.
And I can't see anybody that might be up there. Candy, you go ahead because I can't.
Hey,
Okay.
I would like to respond to Nellie's motion and also Marge's motion. I do agree to go ahead with that motion period. But I also agree with Nellie in that we as board members do need to look at the South Abrego pool with due diligence, and whether that means getting more letters, whether that means doing a survey of all GVR members, whatever the due diligence means. We don't have to make a decision to replace the pool exactly right now. I want to find out how much money has GVR spent over the years in trying to keep that pool going with having to do the repairs because of the soil issue. I know it's an emotional issue for everybody. And it's a lot of money. $1.5+ million is a lot of money. So I think we have to consider more people's input and how they feel about that. If we replace South Abrego Pool, do we have to replace it right at that exact spot? Could we move it to other parts of South Abrego? I mean, I don't know. I don't know the answers to those questions. I know I don't want to take anybody's pool away. But I also don't want to just give $1.6 million if I don't feel like if we replace the pool, is it going to start cracking again? I mean, I don't know what kind of guarantee we have there that that's not going to happen. So I just think there's more questions that I, as a board member, would like answered and look at before I make the decision of spending the 1.6 million.
Okay, I'd like to make a couple of comments on all of what was just said. I brought forward a additional item for the agenda today to secure an architect for South Abrego Pool. And the reason I did that is because in talking with Scott, I really wasn't sure what due diligence we had not done to this point. We have the soils report. We know that's one of the most important things that we need to do. But you people did not get a copy of the staff report that came to the board last night because I was the last minute person submitting it to Scott. He was kind enough to put it forward. But as a part of this summary report, he has indicated that if we go for the architect, which would be the next step, that's part of our due diligence, because also as a part of that, he's indicated in the staff report that he would be meeting not only with the community HOA or HOAs, at least a community meeting of those people, he would be meeting with the water volleyball club in addition. And he indicated in here it might take 2 meetings with each of those groups. But that's all a part of moving forward, in my estimation. If we're going to put the money back in, which I agree with, I think it should be in there. I think part of our due diligence is what Scott is recommending that we do here is we go forward with the architect, we get started with them instead of waiting 6 months down the road, and then we spend another 3 or 4 years like we did with East Center. I just don't want to do that to anybody. So from there, I'll take more comments. Jody?
So being my first time doing budget, I just want to make sure I'm following. I am concerned about the pool fund, period. I was concerned last year when I sent an email, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe we actually have a reserve company that's looking at our pool fund reserve and making recommendations. Isn't that done by us and staff? No, I don't think the reserve company's doing it. I could be wrong, I don't know. Nellie, do we know? Or it's...
No, we
That
don't
is
have
correct.
a reserve company looking at our pools.
Okay, so being said, and we have what, 5 pools that are at the age of 50. We are barely putting enough money to fund the pools. I don't see what is here is acceptable. Pools is what drives people to come to Green Valley. That's the first thing that people, when they get away from the winter, they see the pools. We've got to keep our pools up. Our pool fund is grossly under budgeted, understaffed, funded. What are we doing in the future to get that up? Because we could have a pool go down next year too. And the other question I have is currently, do we have any pool that has any structural problems going on now? Not counting South Abrego. Are the other pools structurally sound? Do we have any issues that we need to be aware of? Because this to me kind of came out of left field. I did not realize that Abrego South was so bad. So where are we on the pool's condition that we currently have?
Sure, so we're not aware of any additional structural issues with any of our other pools, even the ones that are 50 years old, 45 years old. And this one did come out of left field a little bit. We were all caught a little flat-footed, which was disappointing. We knew there were cracks. We knew there were issues. We knew there had been leaks. We weren't aware of the soil problem until we actually did the core sampling. We didn't do it. We had an engineer do it. And they said, sure enough, the soils weren't compacted properly, and that has impacted the plumbing issues, helped create leaking issues in the past, et cetera, et cetera. So To answer your question, no, we're not aware of any other pools that have structural problems at this time, so we feel pretty good about that. In terms of the funding and the cash flow in the MRRB fund pools and spas, we anticipate we can replace a pool about every 4 to 5 years at this point. That means if a couple pools go down in a 4 or 5 year period, that could be a problem, certainly. We're certainly hoping that's not the case. The board back in '21 created this fund, which as the new person coming into town, I was a little surprised it wasn't part of the MRRA reserve study, but it wasn't. So there wasn't a pool fund. In fact, the pool fund at that time was the initiatives fund. And that's really where we started to pay for the East Center pool. That was out of the initiatives fund initially. And it was East Center, frankly, that started the discussion about we really need to have a pool fund. So I applaud the board back in '21 for doing that. And I think they've made strides to improve that. It's always a balancing act. I mean, is replacing a pool right now every 4 to 5 years adequate? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, it is a risk. It would be great to have more in that fund. What that means is that we would have to do an increased transfer from operations, of course, which generally means we have to come up with the revenue to cover that. And again, when housing sales were great and we had a $500,000 surplus every year, it was very easy to transfer $500,000 into a reserve fund. And if and when things are looking good again, I think that's going to be mine and the CFO's recommendation to the board, which is, yep, here's the opportunity. Let's build that fund up. So things do look as if they are improving. We're at least above our budgeted home sales for '25, which is great. We are anticipating a surplus, but I don't think at this time we're going to recommend taking that surplus and putting it back into MRRB. I think our recommendation is to keep it as part of cash because we've been under a little bit over the last 2 years for our cash. But people are talking about some rate decreases for mortgages, et cetera, and that could spur additional home sales. We don't know. I don't think we're going to see what we saw in '21 and '22 for some time. So we are trying to move forward as conservatively as possible. But again, to answer your question, we feel confident that we can replace a pool every 4 to 5 years at this time. The other pools are looking pretty good. So we feel good about that. If another pool failed next year, we're putting money back in. We do have an emergency fund. If it gets to that, we certainly hope that it doesn't. And we would assess each situation as it comes to us every year. We would have these tough discussions like we are today. So hopefully that answers your questions.
Beth?
I just want to point out that we did spend $1.4 million on East Center in 2023, and our budget still looks pretty good. I mean, admittedly, home sales are down some, but I'm saying it didn't, throw us for a loop totally. And I think, in the last 8 years, we've spent almost $2 million on 2 different pools. So I think we could probably afford to do it again, at least for the pool that's most desperate at the moment.
Okay, Steve?
Thanks, Kathy. I just want to add some comments that the other board members have made. Beth, to your comment, we have 2 years worth of data that shows the usage at South Abrego. So it's factual. I know that there's a lot of people that don't want to believe it, but GVR has given us the data for 2 years. Candy, I do agree with you that we do need to survey the entire population of GVR. If we do go forward with replacing South Abrego, this will be could be a big financial impact on the entire membership. Kathy, I don't think we are quite ready to hire an architect. I believe we need to do more due diligence in 3 to 6 months and find out which direction the members want to go. Jody, you are correct. The reserve for pools and spas is way underfunded. Scott hit the nail right on the head when he said he was surprised that we didn't have a reserve fund for our pools when he was hired and started. We started that with East. It takes us 5 years to build up the reserves to replace one pool. We have 9 pools at GVR that have reached their 35-year expected life. We are basically gambling and hoping that we don't have any more pools that go down. We did just spend $250,000 to replace the piping at Desert Hills this last summer, in hopes that it'll give us another 10 to 15 years. This is a big decision that we have to think about the entire membership. I appreciate South Obrego's residents and everything that they're communicating to the board. And I know how important that pool is to you. It goes back a long time. And the Fiscal Affairs Committee, they know that there's competing needs for our capital funds that will not afford presently replacing all our pools. We're going to have to change our business model. We're either going to have to increase dues. I don't think we can count on the housing sales going up significantly. We lowered last year's budget, and that's why it looks so good this year. We've used a conservative number for next year. We're in a conundrum. We have a lot of members that don't want to raise dues. We have a lot of members that know the dues are too low and they're acceptive of paying higher dues. So there's a balancing act here that I think we have to work with and we have to talk about as a group over the next couple months, and then find a way to resolve this. All right, thank you.
Bev, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm going to disagree. I don't think it matters if another pool goes down in the near future, next year, the year after. We need to look at this pool. I think it will just, if we don't replace this pool, I think it will decrease home values in the neighborhood. I think it will decrease, obviously it will decrease GVR assets. It will decrease the perception of the quality of GVR assets. We can't prioritize some other pool over this pool. I think we have already done our due diligence. Obviously, the engineers and the architects and everybody will continue to do that as part of their plans moving forward. And yes, the pool reserve fund is low. It should have been started sooner. We need to add more money to it. I think we need to increase dues as much as we can, as quick as we can, and still be reasonable because of the low home sales. If they start going back up again, great. But right now, we need to take care of this pool and these neighborhoods.
I'd like to make a comment with regards to how do we determine who's going to answer the question, other than this board, as to why we would not give South Obrego Pool the go-ahead and save the money for the next pool that came up next year or the year after or 4 years after. But beyond that, 25, 30 years ago, all of these 5 smaller pool communities came to GVR and said, we want to give our pool to you to maintain. And apparently there was an agreement there that said, we'll take it, but every pool has to be open to all GVR members, and they agreed to that. Still in effect today. All pools have to be open to all GVR members. So again, I ask you, how can we put these people off in their pool for something that might happen next year and might not happen next year, what makes the next pool that goes down more important than the pool we're dealing with today? Board members, any other comments? Marge?
I do. I do.
Go ahead, Lanny. I'm sorry, Marge. Let me take you right after Lanny.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. So here's the banker in me. There's two alternatives from a financing perspective that we haven't considered. That is, we have the right to borrow the money. We also have the ability to have a special assessment. I'm not advocating for one or the other. Reminding the board and members that those are two other alternatives in the event that our reserve funds are insufficient, or if we decide to go another way. I don't think at this. I kind of agree with Marge, and I also agree with Nellie. I agree that we need to have the funds in there because that is a commitment that we have to make to our membership. While at the same time, I don't think we have completed our due diligence. Due diligence includes feedback from the membership. It includes architectural renderings. What alternatives are available to us to give us a better sense of what the costs could be going forward? They may not be 1.5 million. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a million. I'm not sure. I'm not at the point right now where I could say. But I do think, from my perspective, we do have to keep the money in there. We do need to go out and speak to our membership. We do need to go forward with the architects so that our membership can see that we've taken their feedback and we've come to them. We have come to the board and we've come to the membership with some alternatives, and we make our decisions on a go forward based on as much information as possible. But this is where I agree with Nellie. It's got to be done very quickly. It's got to be done within the next 3, 4, 5 months. This cannot linger. It's unfair to the board, but more particularly, it's unfair to the membership to be left in the lurch of what we're going to do. Finally, the GVR brand, if we take a look at any articles that have ever been written about GVR, it's about our unique offering that we have, the number of community pools, the number of community centers at a reasonable cost. As far as I'm concerned, I want to continue to uphold that brand because that will drive home sales. Thank you.
Marge?
I'm going to go off of pools. I have a question for Scott. I noticed in here that we have 50,000 for the pickleball fencing? That's out at the new center?
Correct.
I thought we had an agreement that would stay open, so it's open to the public when we're not using it?
Only the restroom.
Oh, okay.
That's just the restroom.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bart?
Thank you. I'm going to speak very briefly on the issue of the pool. I agree that, frankly, at least from my perspective, we're sort of fumbling around in the dark because we don't know the price tag. I don't think anybody can make a well-considered decision until we know what the price is. So the next step for the price, I think, is an architectural drawing so that the contractors can submit bids. So I agree with all of that. Until we do that, we're still in the dark, and I don't feel like I'm well equipped to vote one way or the other because I just don't know what it's going to cost. Thanks.
Scott?
Thank you. When President Batchelor brought this to me over the weekend, it was really a general discussion on what would the next steps entail in order to continue to perform due diligence and ensure that we're not taking 6 months, 2 years to make a decision, which is exactly how long East Center sat there before it was rebuilt. And I suggested that the next step would really be to bring on an architect in order to start that due diligence process. The architect is going to be able to take a look at the land use, put together a land use plan. They're going to be able to develop recommendations for subcontractors, for engineers, for facility experts, et cetera, that really we don't have in-house. So I think part of the due diligence process really does involve bringing on an architect sooner rather than later. It's not a guarantee, of course, that anything is going to move forward. In fact, in the motion on the next item, it does talk about how the board would be able to approve any preliminary drawings at that point, and then we would simply go out for bid after that is approved. The real final step in moving forward with any project is when the board approves the construction contract, and that's a legal document. Once you approve that construction document, it's pretty much go. But until that time, you're hopeful, it looks like it's going to go, it's probably going to go, but you just don't know until that construction document is approved and signed by both parties. So there's always opportunities to go in a different direction. But I do agree that moving forward with bringing on an architect now will start that due diligence sooner. Part of my question as the CEO is, what does the board need in order to perform your due diligence? Again, costs, certainly. Numbers, we've talked about data, and agreed. None of our pools have an exact science on how many people are coming in and out. We all know that people hold gates. It happens at all of our pools. We did our best to measure this based on the number of gates. We actually didn't take this number from the reading on the wall. When you walk in, you're supposed to go to a separate wall. We didn't take that because we know half the people don't do that. So we took it from the gates. So we tried to make it as accurate, but it's definitely not an exact science. So we know that. We had recommended once we got an architect on, then we could start having some meetings with the neighbors, with the volleyball club, to really talk about what are the issues, what are the concerns. We thought we would invite certainly the board to participate in those so they could hear directly from those of you. We've talked about moving things around a little bit. I think it was Beth or Bev said, where is the best location for certain things? Well, that's exactly why you bring on an architect, so that you can come up with those preliminary concept drawings and come up with cost estimates so that we really know what we're talking about. Now, I will say, I don't think the second item here, which is to secure an architect, is inconsistent with either of the motions that are on the table, either the primary motion or the amendment. I think the primary motion really just says we'll perform our due diligence within 3 to 6 months, and I think this does that. I think that really gets the step going. So I think either motion are just fine, honestly. I don't think if you approve the primary that you can't also hire a contractor or an architect to move forward with this. And same with the amendment that Marge had put forth. You can recommend it exactly as it is, and then you can also hire the architect or direct Scott to hire the architect. So again, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think both will support bringing on an architect. Thank you.
Okay, the only thing about that, Scott, is that we did amend, just one second, we did amend the agenda for a separate item to go forward with the architect, and I'd like to keep that in so that the board is consistent with that.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting taking it out.
Okay, okay. Bev?
Just a couple of more comments. I would like to say that regarding the numbers for pool usage, as Scott said, everybody knows people hold the gates or don't scan their cards or whatever. I also understand the pool and/or spa have been closed numerous times for extended periods of time, which obviously would affect the usage. The other thing is I am against doing a full membership survey or vote. As soon as people hear $1 million, if it's not helping them in their neighborhood, they're going to vote against it. And I think that would be really unfair to everybody there. And I don't think, I just don't think we need to, and if we then say, we're going to build a pool anyway, and the members said, oh, no, we don't want that, the entire membership said we don't want it, then it would be going, we'd be going against the membership. And as we all know, in any of our elections, what do we get? Maybe 25, 30% of the people that even vote. And so I don't think that would be a reasonable vote either. Thank you.
Thanks, Beth. Candy?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to probably have board members not like me anymore after this. But I have been on this board now for a year and a half. And I am getting very frustrated right now at this moment because I remember when South Abrego Pool was first presented to us several months ago. And I would say the general feeling consensus was not to save South Abrego Pool because it was the least used pool, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, okay? That was the feeling in some of our meetings. Now, I don't know whether anybody else is going to admit that or not, but that was what came across to me. And since we really talked about this, I think during the work session, I think the board members got to see how important South Abrego Pool is to the community. So I appreciate all of you being here and doing that because I think that is important. That being said, again, surveys, more meetings, more town halls maybe with you, so we can get different people's opinions. I would like to know what the general consensus is, because it just seems like to me the board has flipped. And they've flipped, and this is, my God, so great. I'm going to say, let's save South Abrego Pool. Okay, I'm for it. I really am. But I want to be sure that I'm making the best decision that I feel like I can make for all the members, not just the South Abrego Pool members. Okay, this is like, I know you're shaking your head, and I'm sorry. But as a board member, that's what I feel like I have to do. I feel like that's why I was elected, was to look after every board member, not just the South Abrego Pool members. But again, that's not to say, let's kill South Abrego Pool. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying where some people were has totally now flipped. So whether that's I guess it's a good thing for South Abrego people. I don't know if it's a bad thing for the GVR members. I'm just saying you have helped flip the board, in my opinion. Which is great. But again, me as a board member, I feel like I have to look at more people's opinions and how they feel than, I know you're looking, oh my God, Priscilla, I know you're like zooming in right on me. and I know, but I feel like that's what I have to do as a board member. So therefore, I'm the unpopular board member, so. Thank you.
I'm going to respectfully disagree with Candy. I don't think that, at least in my observation, any board member has flipped on the issue, because I don't think any board member decided the issue. I think all of the board members that I spoke with about the issue had the same view that I did, which was we don't have enough information to make a decision. We don't know the price tag, which is to me the really bedrock fundamental question. So I think that Candy innocently misinterpreted whatever she saw before, but I don't think any board member made up his or her mind before that I have observed. Thanks.
Madam Chair?
Nellie?
I think what makes this unique from the East Pool is that East Pool was kind of a standalone repair. What made this more challenging is that the locker room is a $750,000 item, plus the pool. So my question from the review or due diligence standpoint to the Abrego community, if you did not have a pool, how could that $750,000 be used to meet your community needs? Because it's an issue of the priorities and balancing the cost benefits. So it's different than the other pools because the locker room went down as well. Thank you.
Scott?
Yeah, I think we've already started looking at options just in case we do go down that path, so we can rebuild with bricks and mortar the type of facility that's there currently. We're also looking at prefab options, which are kind of like what's it called? It's not a trailer, it's a
Prefab.
it's a prefab, yeah, that it rolls in and can be put together there. So, you know, we budgeted 750 because we just don't know, and I think that's one of the things Director Hillier said. We don't know what the costs are at this time. So we're planning for the worst and hoping for the best.
I would just like to point out one other thing too. This pool is not just for the people who live in the area of South Abrego. The volleyball club, the water volleyball club, is made up of members throughout GVR, not just from South Abrego area. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. It is not just a limited pool here, where maybe the other 4 satellites that we have are really looked at as an HOA pool, because that's what it was before they gave it to GVR. So keep in mind that these people are coming from throughout GVR, regardless of where they live. They don't necessarily live in the South Abrego pool area. Beth?
So we have a motion on the floor, and I, some point vote on it?
Well, we can, but when the board finishes discussing, then we still have member comments. So do we have any other comments by the board that would like to go forward? Okay, well then we're going to open it up to people to speak, but like I said at the beginning of the meeting, excuse me, if you would line up behind the person at the microphone so that we don't have to wait for people walking in and out of lanes of chairs, that would be great. And if you would please give us your name and your GVR number.
Hi, my name is Bob Quast, and my number is 256915. There are 13 pools in the Green Valley Recreation District. We have an unfortunate incident with the South Abrego pool, but all of the members of Green Valley Rec pay for all pools. All members avail themselves to enjoy every pool that GVR maintains. All of the pools are geographically and easily accessible to all members. It is not hard at any place in Green Valley to get to a pool of your choice. The concept of neighborhood pools, I don't believe that is valid. They are all pools for all members of Green Valley. Obviously, there's limited resources in our pool reserve. There are many pools, as we've discussed, that are up exceeding 40 years in age. Each board member has a fiduciary obligation to reasonably allocate the resources across all of our facilities. It is unreasonable to allocate 100% of our current reserve to one of 13 facilities when there are many options available to all of our members. The only prudent decision that this board can make at this time, based on board discussion, is to defer its decision on the Abrego pool and focus on building the reserves for the preservation of all of the pools that are going to require work over the next few years. So I think that the wisest choice is to defer the decision on Abrego, not saying whether you should build, should not build, but there needs to be a conditions assessment made of all of our existing pools, and we need to have a long-term capital forecast with a funding plan. I think that should occur before any decision is made to replace at this time Abrego pool. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. That beep that you people hear is your 2-minute mark. So we allow everybody to speak for 2 minutes. So if you could keep it within that mark, it would be appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Dan Hankey. I'm the president of Desert Meadows Townhomes, 6/30/51. Oh no, I've been here way too long. That's my birthday. My number, 256396. I'd like to thank Scott because he met with us last week, and I'd like to thank the board. We are an outdoor exercise center, only outdoor volleyball out of the 13. We have horseshoes, shuffleboard, water volleyball, water aerobics, and therapeutic pool and spa. Our pool is designed as a shallow pool, walking, socializing, and water volleyball. 30 to 40 people play volleyball there 4 days a week. And we call them home. We like to have them there. We have the parking. We don't need to have it redesigned. No more engineering. Just replace it the way it is. We have 2 or 3 generations of families that have been buying into Desert Meadows starting in the 80s, 90s, and 2000. I think we have Rick, one of our guys here. His mother came, and then we had Laura Lee, her mother's here, and then they came and bought because of it. Only pool we have from East Center all the way down to Brago is Spring Green, or the Springs. And then you have to go on the frontage road. And we got 1,500 people, over 12 HOAs that use the Abrego pool. Scott informed us last week that it's going to take 2 to 3 years probably. And if you delay it even more, you'll have more time to put more money back in. But the way that goes, 2 to 3 years, you'll have 300,000 extra a year. And it'll make it a lot easier if you don't build our pool to say CP1, CP2 are going to be next. They'll be discontinued. I want to show a list of our membership here and here. Got 35 people here of our HOA. I got another 30 people here that come to our banquets and our bingo parties. My wife and I celebrated our 50th anniversary there. Next year, I hope to celebrate our 55th. So it's used more than just for the pool itself. It's all about family and friends. You can't put a price on that. In closing, I hope 50 years from now that all your great-great-grandkids say, thank you, board. Thank you, Scott, for keeping our pool. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
I'll give you Cliff Notes.
Could I have your
Linda
name?
Sparks. My number is 231543. I served 2 terms on this board. I'd like to remind you folks, as you were all talking about other 5 pools that were at this age, if a second...
I can't, Linda, I'm sorry, you need to have that microphone right in front of you. It's very
If a
sensitive.
second one dies next year, you will be in violation of the bylaws, which say that you need a member's vote to decrease services by 10%. So keep that in mind, because next year it's going to cost more money to build anything. I agree with Scott that the locker room doesn't have to be a big fancy locker room. There's already a restroom there. We can change in the restroom. So please seriously consider rebuilding South Abrego.
Thank you, Linda.
My name is Kelly Pyatt, and my number is 100-254. I'm here just as a guy who goes to the pool. I'm disabled. It is within 1.5 miles of my home. It is a place where I get recreation and physical therapy that I need. And it's also a place where I get the interchange from other people that I need. Disabled people don't get out as much as other people, and there are many people that come to our pool who are disabled. Many of them use the chair, some of them don't. but there are many of us who use it, and we need it for I mean, it says right here that our purpose of this board is to provide excellent facilities to enhance the quality of members' lives. So I think all the people behind me back here want their lives just increased too. And I think I agree with whoever it was that said, if you start plucking one thing away, then they're going to say, what's next? And also the values are going to go down. Our home values in our end of town will go down because we won't have a pool close by. So I'd like you to consider those things too as you go for your decision. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rick Browning. My member number is 193646. So that tells you how long I've been a member. My parents bought down here in 1976. I've been to 2 other pools other than the Brago South my entire time of being here. First time I come down here is 1980. I hope, pray that the pool is built in the next 2 or 3 years. I will tell you from a lot of people's standpoint, if it's not rebuilt, it's going to be harder to get a membership to support rebuilding the next one a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, because there's going to be a bunch of us feel we've been abandoned. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
My name is Lori Meyer. I moved to Green Valley about 3 years ago, and my house was not in GVR. I had it deeded into GVR. One of the biggest reasons was for volleyball, water volleyball. I'm a volleyball member. And I think what's getting lost on some of the people who are saying we have 13 pools is that this pool is special because it is a sport pool. We have no other sport pools, which means it is even, pretty much even all the way across. That makes us be able to play water volleyball. Right now, we've been at Abrego North. It's been very tough because we have a drop-off, and we have shorter members that can't even be in the back row to play. We also have much more elderly players that we have we have to pull up just because they're on a slope. And I think we're going to find that on any other pools that we have. If by chance it's too expensive to build a new pool, I just want to put this out there. I would really love to have Abrego South back if we can. But if that's not possible, can we retrofit another pool to be a sport pool? I did that with my own pool at home. We play volleyball there a lot. And my pool was a 50-year-old pool. I didn't have to do anything to it structurally as far as the soil, but it was about, and I have a very large pool. I can fit quite a few people in there, and it cost me about $30,000 to retrofit that pool into a sport pool with electrical and plumbing. So I just wanted to say that would probably be an option to at least put that on the table. Okay.
Thank you, Lori.
Lori was great. My name is Darlene Macula, number 240675. We've been here 8 years. I'd like to thank all of you. You work on this and you do your very best. I'd kind of like to, let's maybe reframe a little bit. Lori, the sports pool, you guys, we need a market. Green Valley has a sports pool. Going forward, this is really going to be important. It just is. I mean, people are still active, and we're not just, crocheting and doing quilts, which are wonderful, but I mean, there's more to it, and these young people are looking to where are they gonna go? And I think reframe it to a sports pool and all of your advertising, all of your marketing, and get it out there and be proud of it. Quail Creek put in a sports pool. They started a water volleyball club. Sahuarita has a sports pool. So let's get on it. I would love to see a reframe of this and going forward. Let's get a little excitement going. Come on, you guys. Please, please, please.
Thank you, Darlene.
My name is Dennis Vadnais. My GVR number is 234611. I am currently the president of the volleyball club. I would like to address a couple things. Number one, every time that we talk about removing this pool, we talk about the lack of use of the pool, the number of people that have been there. Keep in mind, over the last 5 years, we have went through a pandemic. We have a pool that keeps breaking down periodically almost every year and having problems. And it is only natural that people are going to quit going there and go to a different pool. And once they discover a different pool, they may not come back to that pool because of the same problem that they've had before. Now, with that being said, let's go to the water volleyball. We have that pool, or any pool, for 8 hours or 8 hours a week. That's all we have it. We have the ability of having 40 people there on maybe even 50 on a good day. Unfortunately, at that point in time, we do not have the room to continue for all 50 to play at the same time, so there are people setting out, and some people, if there's enough people there, are setting out for 2 games at a time. So the usage of that is a problem. However, if we have a sports pool, we can think outside the box, and it may take a little while, but we have the ability to grow our club and use that pool and drive those numbers up. There is no reason that we should lose that club, because if we lose that pool, we are going to transfer someplace else, and it affects everybody in this community. We know that because we have been run from place to place like a bunch of orphans. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Save the best for last, right? My name is Jerry Brooks. My number is 248-836. Maybe that's my blood pressure. I'm not sure. 248/836. That's not good. Okay. I don't know if our Darlene read my letter, but I've been talking to other people about this sport pool for weeks. If you had a pool that was like 3 feet 6 inches, that's a real good number for all sizes, about up to here on me, 3, 6, 4 feet is a little bit too high. We could really market this, and this is where I agree with Darlene. And there's another thing. At South of Brigham, we have a hot tub, a spa, that's iconic. I send people there from all over, all the pools. It's very deep, it's very powerful, and you can get a jet on any part of your body that you ever needed to. I've sent more people there, and they never knew the pool existed. So that's crazy when you say there's 13 pools, and a lot of these people don't even know that exists. And the only thing that thing is missing is a diving board in that spa. And I don't want that, so don't come me wrong. Forget that, it's a liability. So the one thing that I agree with Dennis, we've been talking a lot, and in fact, I can tell you right now, I'm the guy who runs the sand program. So all we use the pool for is when we get done with the sand, we go and wash off in the pool. That's not true either. So, but what we do, what I've found is this is a great entry. I've gotten maybe 8 people in the last 6 years to come, and they'd never played volleyball. They thought they would never play. And the reason why it's different is this ball is light as a feather. It's not a beach ball. I've actually talked to St. Jude Hospital up in California about using this for some of their juvenile. Instead of playing, they get tired of playing beach volleyball, and they would love this. And I took a ball up there at one time, and they said, tell us how we would do it, and they'll come up there. So we could become world famous because the water volleyball we play is different than anywhere else, I swear, in the country. It's very different. I even brought a ball if you want to see one. We don't sign balls, but we could bring that. So anyway, there's a way to do this. Make this at one depth. You get rid of all the stairways. Right now we have these great big steps that are just really a nuisance, and they're dangerous. And the same way with Castle Paloma 2. There's steps in there, there's railings. Get the railings off on a separate, have all the stairs come in off of the pool, like they do at Abrego North, where I live right next to that. So you could have a way to make it truly a sports pool. If you made it, my number is, Abrego South is 28 feet wide, And if you had two, you could have two courts end to end, you could play them all at the same time. I'm actually suggesting we come up with a starter program for the neighborhoods for people to have
Dennis?
like a beginner.
Dennis,
Oh, my number,
excuse
sorry.
me. Dennis, your time is kind of limited, but at this, I'm sorry, Jerry, I'm sorry. You're going to be a part of the group that Scott's going to be meeting with for
Yeah.
criteria to do. So if you would hold all those thoughts for that
I
meeting,
will.
it would be very
I've
appreciated.
talked to Scott about this before.
Okay.
One other thing, I talked to a guy that's 30 years ago when that pool, okay, sorry. No, this is really important. He's an architect that will come and help us. He was there 30 years ago, whenever this last one was, a new liner was put in. He said they saw the cracks, they filled the cracks, they never put mud to fill up all the voids underneath it. He said it was guaranteed to be a problem in another 10 to 15 years. He was there, he saw it, he said, we didn't win the bid because we weren't the low bidder. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Hi, I'm Richard Joyce. My number is 242274. And I'm an epitome of what a GVR member is, because in 2018, I made the decision to buy my first GVR home. And at that time, I weighed 280 pounds. I had a shot knee, and when we made the decision not to buy in Tucson, but come down here in Green Valley, is because when we looked at the people walking around this community, they were older than me, but they were far healthier than I was. And so my neighbor across the street from the house I first bought suggested that I follow him to play water volleyball. So at 280 pounds, out of shape, I was able to start by playing water volleyball without hurting myself. That soon, what's unique about this club is that they not only have water, but they have sand and they have court. And as you go through each one of those, it becomes more aggressive, right? And so it's a starting point for those who are not healthy to become healthy and be more of a value to this community. So take that for it.
Thank you, Richard.
My name is Joe Spurgeon, and I'm actually one of the directors for the volleyball club and the court volleyball. My number is 240566. I just wanted to make a point. We're talking about over-Xing, and digging down 7 feet and coming back up with compaction for the pool. My feeling is that whatever you put on that piece of property, pickleball court, basketball court, you're still going to have to over-X. You're still going to have to bring the compaction up. It's going to cost the money. Okay, why not put it into building the pool? We need it. I live down there. I live a half mile away. I can walk to there. I love it. It's a fantastic place to be. But anyway, consider that. Consider what you're going to be putting on that piece of property. Thanks.
Thank you, Joe.
Hello. My name is Sharon Olson, and my number is 254766. Our home in Green Valley is wonderful, partly because of the people and location of our recreation center. Because of the rec center, we have met many great people, plus exercise options, which include a pool and hot tub. Because of it being in our area, we were blessed with meeting and socializing with many individuals in our area and others who came in too, to visit and to see it. We built a strong base to be able to go on to other adventures in our lives. Many of us, as we grow older, need to get out and socialize, exercise, and de-stress. We all don't have bikes, golf carts, or even cars. We need to depend on other vehicles to go to doctor's appointments or even grocery shopping. To be able to walk to a rec center is so important. We learn to be friendly by socializing and getting out. If we have places to go to and we like to go there, we can talk to people, and we have ways then that we can help other people. Many problems could be solved by just socializing. We should not decrease these rec centers or totally end them because they are broken or need to be fixed. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Okay, at this point, I believe we're going to take a vote. And the way it goes is we would vote on the amendment first, which was Marge's amendment to Nellie's original to approve exactly as Plan B was presented. Was that what you meant, Marge? I mean, I'm paraphrasing, so. Okay, so, pardon? Bart says, yeah. Okay, so all those in favor, please raise your hand. What's that? Okay. We're voting for the budget? Plan B of the budget, which exactly as it was proposed. Anything to add with that, Marge?
It was the one Scott had up on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull it up.
Yeah, hold it, he's pulling it up.
I'm sorry. Here we go.
He's got it.
We're getting
Oh,
there.
thank you. You're welcome.
Let's take a minute. Coming up? Oh, it is up.
Not there.
I see, thank you.
I see, thank you.
I know, it's all I see too.
But it must be on one of the forms.
It is.
I should have written it
Nancy
down.
read it?
Yeah.
2026 operating and capital budgets, the 5-year capital improvement plan, and the 2026 fee schedule. Not on my. As presented. Is that correct?
I don't have it on page 30.
As
Okay.
presented,
Do you
yes.
want me to read it again, or we have it?
No, I think
Okay.
we're okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Candy. Okay, all those in favor of approving the Plan B as presented, please raise your hand.
I think so. Still, I'm not sure.
And I count 8. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed Beth, so that would be 9.
Does this have the,
She's short. Sometimes I miss her.
well, I'm unclear because I still am not finding it on the piece of paper where
Here.
I'm looking.
Okay, and
I
all
know it
those,
says that, but I don't know what.
well, I think Candy was correct when she said it was on page 30.
It's on the screen.
But there's a number of pages
Yeah,
that build
it's
up to
there. It's
that.
up there now.
Page 26 to 30.
Kathy, did you count Annie?
It's page 30, it's number 2, and there's a recommended motion on page 30.
Is it table 2?
It's Plan B, Plan B.
No, page
Okay,
30.
okay, yes, all right, I see it.
Okay, thank you. So I counted 9 yeses. All those opposed, please raise your hand. So that would be 2, that would be Nellie and Steve Reynolds. Because Nancy likes to put the last names of the people. So that passes for the budget Plan B.
Madam Chair.
Now we have to vote on the original. And Nellie, would you like to please present that to us again?
Well, the amendment was to my motion, so now the motion is with the amendment.
So it's been amended and the amendment has been.
But it wasn't a
approved.
delete all, so you have a motion that basically states that the pool, that same thing except with the due diligence language, and then the amendment is added on top of that.
Yeah,
So,
isn't Nellie's motion a dead letter now?
no, it's
I
because
In
believe
light
it
of the vote
is
we just
because the
had.
amendment has been approved.
I think so. I think the amendment,
you didn't do a strike all
I.
in your
Pardon?
amendment. It wasn't a strike all to the motion.
I said I
A
would
what?
like to make this motion over yours, yes. I mean, you made that motion with all the extra, and I said, no, end it with presented, period.
No,
I believe
Isn't
it
that
was,
like a double vote? We
I-
already voted
you
on
and-
this.
My,
Yeah,
my
you're
understanding is Marge amended Nellie's primary motion. The amendment, which was Marge's motion, an amendment, just passed 9-2. So that amended the primary motion to this. Now you have to vote on the primary motion, which has been amended to this.
Okay,
Okay,
okay, we can do that.
so we will,
That's right.
okay,
Yep.
okay. So we'll take the vote then as a procedural vote for the amendment over the original. So is that correct, Scott?
It does, but this
Okay.
does approve or not approve the budget. So
Okay,
you
this
are, this
approves
is, this
or
is the
not
big
approve.
vote.
This is
I
the
mean,
big
you
vote.
just amended it, but if you choose to not vote for this, then you're voting against Plan B, and we'll have to figure that one out. but-
Okay, so all those in favor of approving Plan B as presented, please raise your hand.
Thank you.
I have a question. Kathy, I have a question.
Well, that's 11 votes. It's a little late for a question, Steve. Sorry.
Oh, Kathy,
Yes,
Kathy, in
Yes.
defense of Steve's had his hand up for about 10 minutes before we even started all of this. So well, he did, and I have to, I mean, it's one of the downfalls of Zoom, but Steve did have his hand up for about 10 minutes.
okay, go ahead, Steve.
I just want to make sure what I'm voting for here. So this is Plan B. Now, does it include any amendments? Or is it the original Plan B that staff presented to the board?
Go ahead, Scott.
So you're now voting on the amended motion, and the amended motion is exactly the original motion, the original staff recommended motion.
So it does not have Nellie's amendment in it.
Nellie didn't make any amendments. She made the primary motion, and that was amended to reflect the original motion. So now you are voting on the original motion, which is also the amended motion that Nellie made.
Oh.
And that's how it works.
Okay, I just want to make sure what I
Right.
was voting for.
And
Well,
we-
you've got 11. How did Steve vote?
That's everybody, because we
voting
only have
for it.
11 members.
We already voted,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
We voted unanimously for the second vote, so Plan B is approved by the board. Okay. Okay, so the next item on the agenda will be to secure the architect for Abrego South Pool. And this is part of the due diligence that I asked Scott to prepare for you. And as a part of all this, it would be the next step to go out to get the architect to start the drawings for the concept, and also for Scott to have his meetings both with the neighborhood and the volleyball club. So I am going to move that we approve to secure the architect for the Abrego South Pool. Was that you, Jody? Jody seconded it. So could I have all those in favor of securing the architect for the Abrego South Pool? I'm sorry. It's late. Okay, all questions. Go ahead, Jody.
Scott, could you give us a brief synopsis of what the architect is actually, we're going to ask him to do?
Okay.
We
Scott?
have to develop a scope of work.
Oh, okay.
Sure. So we would anticipate doing quite a few things, probably having a few community meetings, as we've talked about, assisting and directing, recommending to GVR how to perform due diligence. If we need additional soils testing, if we need any type of facility engineers to do additional inspections, beginning to put together concept designs, and coming up with some estimates too. Really, you're welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Okay, then all those in favor of the motion to go forward with the architect for Abrego South Pool, please raise your hand. And it's unanimous. Thank you very much, everybody. That's great. We can just move right in. The next item on the agenda would be the approval of the N&E recommendation for the record date. And Beth Dingman is going to provide that to us.
Yes, each year the Board of Directors approves a record date recommended by the N&E Committee. This has to be no more than 30 business days before the election. We are recommending a record date of January 28th, with the election beginning on March 9th.
Okay. So is that a motion, Beth? So we would need a second?
I move that we approve the record date of January 28th.
Okay, and Jody seconded. All those in favor, please raise your hand. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it's unanimous. Thank you very much, everybody. Okay, next item on the agenda would be D, would be the FAC recommended corporate policy manual, CPM, change to Part 6, Section 2, 6.2, 6.A, and Nellie Johnson's going to present that to us.
Okay, this is on page 78 of your book. It's a fairly lengthy package. Basically, during our budget discussions and looking at the capital plan, the CPM right now encourages clubs to participate in the sharing the cost, and it basically says it's mutually agreed to. What this does is when that agreement is reached, it just asks that it be formalized in an MOU, so that with the change in the leadership of one board to another board, either it be a club or not, you have it firmly committed that when a project is started, what level of participation is the club going to participate in. So that is what the red line version does.
Okay.
So I move the adoption of the change language as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Bart seconded. And are there any questions from the board?
I'm a little confused as to what exactly this. So this is, I know what a memorandum of understanding is, it's between the board and the club that they're going to provide funding on a project?
Right now,
Sorry, we can't hear that on. We didn't hear that, Jody.
Okay, my question was, I know what a memorandum of understanding is, but it's an agreement for clubs to provide funding on a project. I just trying to understand exactly.
Yes, the current CPM in the paragraph reads that the cost of a modification may be shared if mutually agreed to upon as documented by the MOU. So when a club's project comes in front of the Planning, Evaluation, and Fiscal Committee, there is a discussion about shared costs. Yeah.
Any, Candy?
So Nellie, is the MOU going to be like a template? Is it going to be the same type that's going to be used for each club?
I would leave that to operations, but I would expect some uniformity.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, with that, all those in favor of, do we have? Hang on just one second. To approve as documented the memorandum of understanding between the board and the club as a recommended motion to change the CPM. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that was unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nellie. Okay, next thing is item E, which we added for the 990, I'm sorry. Bev, do you want to present that, or would you like me to do it here? You can go ahead if you like.
The audit committee did meet this week. We have actually had the
sample of the 990 or draft of the 990 for probably a couple of weeks now. There were a couple of teeny tiny minor changes, which didn't even have anything to do with numbers. And we recommend that the board accept the 990 with the approved changes. I know one of the changes was to change Natalie's title, which was listed incorrectly. And I believe the other change was to add you as a signature when it comes time to accept the audit. And that was
Okay.
it, so.
And the reason that we provided it to you kind of at the last moment was because this needs to be filed by November 15th, and our next board meeting is not till November 19th. So rather than just file it late, we thought, push come to shove, we would ask you to go ahead and approve it at this point for submitting.
So I move that the board accept the 990 as
Okay, so
edited.
Bev is motioning to accept the 990.
I second, yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed. Jody, did you, no?
No, not this time.
That was Nellie. Okay, thank you, Nellie. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. And it's unanimous again. Thank you very much. Okay, last item on the agenda, Nellie, I didn't write down the title for this, so you wanted to make a correction to the Board of Directors work session minutes from October 8th?
That's correct. I have a handout, and I believe Nancy had sent it out to the people who were on the Zoom call. Basically, I listened to the tape. There are 4 amendments that I would recommend. And I can go through each one. I can summarize them all and then go back. Amendment 1 deals with looking at, and you need to go to your minutes page to track the changes. So the minutes are on page.
Thanks, Jody.
On page 6. So in looking at point 3, where it says the CEO presents the reviewed budget, I would like to I guess, reinforce the importance of the CEO's PowerPoint that he uses at these meetings and that he used at the meeting at the minutes has valuable information from an education standpoint for board, but also for the members present. And so my suggested change to that item where it says staff presents a recommended fee schedule, operating budget, and capital budget, it's basically also saying insert refer to the CEO's PowerPoint presentation in the supplemental budget information for the October board work session. Because we refer to board goals and the mission in our minutes, but from an information standpoint, the PowerPoints are very helpful and very educational. So that's change 1. Change 2 looks at the FAC recommendation, and basically is a clarifying point that FAC increased the wages by an additional $150,000 for a total increase of. So we didn't increase it, the $259,000, we increased it $150,000 to a total, and so that's a clarifying point. Section 3, as Scott presented the budget, he asked me as FAC chair to qualify or to speak on the FAC recommendations. And that the points, as I reviewed the tape, my points were not included in the minutes, and the points that I have bulleted here are summary points that it really explained the rationale that I discussed during that presentation, and it's at minute 13 on the tape and runs for the length of time that I spoke. And point 4 on the amended section, discussion points, section 1, after the membership change fee fund, the loss of revenue from the membership change fee was primarily offset by an increase in the member dues. It just acknowledges that the two came together as we were discussing it in our work session, and that is what was reflected on the tape. And section 2 was how I understood the outcome of our discussion when there was a general consensus, and that was the statement that the funds regarding the Abrego pool, space and locker room were a placeholder pending due diligence and review to be completed in the next 3 to 6 months. That's what I heard as I reviewed the tape, and those were the changes to the minutes. I could break up the 4, or I could deal with them as a whole. As a whole.
Does anybody have any questions with regarding the changes to these minutes?
It needs a second. It was on the tape, right?
Yeah.
No, you can, I listened to the tape again a couple of times.
I didn't listen to the tape a second time, but I just didn't recall the placeholder pending being stated.
Yep, it was stated. I'll second the motion.
Okay, so Nellie made the motion and Steve seconded it. All those in favor of changing the minutes for October 8th? It is October 8th, right? Yeah. For the work session, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 6 yeses. All those opposed? I'm going to vote no.
No. Kathy, I'm abstaining because I wasn't at the portion of the meeting at which these things happen. And I
Kathy-
haven't reviewed the tapes yet, so I'm just abstaining.
And I'm doing the same thing, Kathy. I had to leave early, so I
Okay.
missed this part of the meeting, so I'm going to abstain.
Okay, so 2 abstain, that would be Bart Hillier and Marge Garneau. So we have 6 yeses, 2 noes, 2 abstains, and all those that oppose the change. Be me. I'm sorry. Oh, did we have 8 yeses? Okay. So that would take it to, with 2 abstentions, that would take it to 9, so that leave 2 of us that didn't vote. No, I'm sorry, that's 10. So I'm going to vote no on the change. So that passes for the change for the minutes. Okay, any other member comments, please, if you have any? Okay, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. And all in favor, raise your hand.